Good morning, everybody. I'm Daryl Crow. It's Monday morning, and it's time for more tips for our beginning art students. And with me today, helping me out as always, is Joe Kaczynski. Say hello, Joe.
Hello, Joe.
Alrighty, so we both know the same guy, Joe, huh, Joe?
Yep, I met him myself personally. He's a heck of a guy, by the way. Just want you to know that.
So Joe comes with high recommendations from Joe.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that.
Okay, anyway, getting right back to our beginning art students who are all just waiting to know what is the big question of the week. Going to start with Joe.
The question of the week is a thing of beauty. It is from Bill from Muncie, Indiana.
Isn't that where they make transmissions?
They used to. Right now, the transmissions are coming from another planet, I believe. But that's another story.
Yes.
At any rate, the question is this. I am in love with your YouTube videos. I have learned so much in the past few months. But,
Thank you.
well, you're welcome. That's not me. That was from, never mind.
That
You were
was for
thanking
Bill, not
you
Joe.
were thanking. All right, you were thanking
I never
me.
know whether I'm talking to Joe or JoJo.
Okay. At any rate, so I've been painting over a year now. But your lessons have helped me tremendously. But I am so frustrated. I love to take a lot of photographs, and I would love to be able to paint what I have on these photographs. My big problem is, how do I properly mix the colors to do this?
That is a good question. But you know something? Congratulations, Bill, because you've just passed from being a beginning art student to an intermediate. You see, in beginnings, as a beginner, we're trying to learn the techniques and to get them into second nature. When we start to venture out and create our own masterpieces, when we're taking photographs and trying to paint what we see and feel, and we start thinking about composition and we start thinking about color and stuff, that means you've been progressing quite well. So congratulations, feel good about being able to answer that particular question. And in fact, to help students move from a beginner to a more advanced student, what we've done is we had on our private You Can Paint Club, we have put in videos. We have like 12 two-hour videos on how to paint from photographs. We have quite a few on color mixing. We have on teaching and sharing, and a lot of those that maybe you'd like to take a look at. And we even showed examples through our Colorado series of paintings, which we show how we went from photograph, matching color, composition, and creating our own masterpiece. But that aside, let me say this, Bill. We've got some warnings for you. You're going to get hooked even more into painting when you do this. So if you're ready, let's get right in to some of the steps that you can take. For example, I have a picture of a Rottweiler out here, back here, and I was asked to paint this beautiful dog, and I just enjoyed that. So I did the underpainting. That's the first step that I do. And the second step is, now I want to start adding the colors. Now I'm not going to be adding all of the final colors at this point. I'm just looking for darks and lights during this stage. And so there's my darks and my lights, as you can see here from this painting. But now I've got to start to match those colors as I move on to the next step. So the first thing I want to do is understand color, okay? And so what I have done is I produced a number of charts of colors. So I believe this is a burnt sienna base. So I've got burnt sienna coming in here and here, but I like to know exactly what shade. So what I did is I developed a chart of colors just on burnt sienna. Now I'm just going to remove the canvas here, and I'm going to place this up here so you can better see what it is I'd like to show you. Now this is a color chart that I put together. I'll talk a little bit about how you can put your own color charts together in a minute, but let's just take a look at what we have. I've got the word burnt sienna. That means all of the colors here are has burnt sienna. Now I do everything by parts. So if I have one part of burnt sienna, then I'm going to add 1 part of alizarin crimson, and I'm going to get this color. So what I'm doing is mixing burnt sienna with 11 different colors. Now these are colors. I have to choose which colors I like to use, but they're the colors I typically will mix with burnt sienna. If I'm not going to mix the color, I don't care what it mixes like. So up here I have alizarin crimson, bright red, orange, cad yellow, light, yellow ochre, purple, Prussian blue, phthalo blue, sap green, phthalo green, and Payne's gray. And basically I'm looking for a particular color that is close to what I want. Okay, so that's my initial objective. Number 1, look for a color that's close to what you see on your photo. And then from there, we'll do some mixes. Okay, so over here, I've taken 1/2. All of this is 1 part of sienna. This is a 1/2 part of each one of these 11 colors. So if I go from alizarin crimson and bright red and all that, you can see the progression that changes. And as you go linear down, okay, what you're seeing is there's a 1/2 part, 1 part, 2 parts, 5 parts, and 10 parts. And so this gives you a good idea of the direction. Like if I'm using Payne's gray, you can see that I'm going to go through some darker shades of brown, and then it's going to slightly start to green. Okay, so the more Payne's gray, and Payne's gray is a mix of ivory black and French ultramarine blue. So the blue mixed with the Payne's gray, or with the burnt sienna, will eventually move to a green color, and that illustrates that there. So basically what you're trying to do is say, what is the one color in this chart? Now, to study color, so that no matter which color you see in a photograph, you would do this for each. Now on my particular palette, I have about 19 colors that I can choose from. So you would need to make up 19 of these charts just to understand the effect and the relationship that these colors have upon each other. It takes a little bit of time to do this. I spend about a half a day mixing up one of these. So, just pace it out. What I did when I was putting my charts together was, if I was using a burnt sienna and trying to find a mixture for burnt, which I do a lot with pets, because I do a lot of paintings for pets. And I want to make absolutely sure I can get as close as I want, because when you're doing pets, you're doing them for an owner, and that owner knows that dog or that cat or that horse or that sheep better than you ever will. So you really try to do the best you can to match the color, and then you also try to match the character of the pet. So in any event, what you want to do is study your colors. This is one way of doing this. Now let me show you what a blank chart looks like. This is a blank chart here, and it's really nice. I get mine from www.colorfrontier, and that's FRONTIER.com. And basically, it's a grid. It's 11 colors across and 5 deep with lots of lines, so you can put on whatever kind of titles you want. And I already go ahead and write them on pencils, the colors, and like here's the burnt umber. And these are the colors I'll mix with burnt umber, and these are the mixtures. I always use the same mixtures in all of mine, so I have a common point of reference. Okay, and so what you would do is you mix up the color, and then you would paint it here. Then you mix up the next color, paint it there, and paint it there. Now on my website I have a color mixing grid, so that if you're not sure how to mix one part of this, 2 parts of that, or how big is a part, you can use that as a guideline. You just tape it under a piece of glass or a clear plexiglass, and you'll have access to it. In fact, I'll tell you what, if you go to www.darylcrow.com/YouTube, we will offer that chart as a download, so you can go ahead and download that chart right away. And but here, what's so neat about this is after you get all of these squares painted, there's a little, this is contact paper on here. And so you just take the edge of it with a knife and pull it off, and you can go ahead and have this beautiful chart that you saw that I had on the other side. That helps you study and find out which particular color mixture you want at a time. Now let me show you the next step. The next step is to pinpoint that mixture of color and to nail it. Okay, and what I've done is I now try to figure out, okay, I said this is a burnt sienna. So what I did is I took a paint stick, this is a 5-gallon paint stick, and I started with burnt sienna here, and I knew that it was with a mixture of alizarin crimson. So what I did is I started adding parts of alizarin crimson all the way down. So I'm going from 0 to half to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 10 to 20 to 30. Okay, and I also put a little strip of white here, and then as I also put a strip of dark, so that with each color I can more or less define which one. Now I do this if I'm having difficulties with any animal. Okay, and in this particular case, if you look here, you see that I'm dead on with a half a part of alizarin crimson and just a touch of white. So I'm able to match the darks right in here to this, okay? And so that's how I go about matching the color precisely. Now, there are two other tools that you can do in your study of color mixing. Okay, one is to put together a grayscale. Okay, now what I do is I start with pure black and pure white. And then what I do is I add a half a part of black, 1 part of black, 2 parts, 5 parts, 10 parts, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then pure black. Okay, so this is how I put together my grayscale. And you may want to do it, because what you want to do is take a look at different parts of your animals and you squint between the color and your grayscale, and whichever one looks great. Like this one right here is a 9, right in here. The darkest spot is a 9. So I know that the brightest spot, and sit here and squint, is going to be right here. So this is my how much light. So if I ever mix a color that falls within this range, then it's too bright for this painting. I know that most of them have fall between 9, and I can start to plan where the brights are. Now I know that's a lot to take in at the beginning, but realize you can start to study the brightness and the tints and the tones of colors at your leisure as you develop techniques and as you develop skills. Now another thing I would encourage you to do while you're studying is to do this with each color, is what is the effect of white and black. So again, I would take alizarin crimson and I added my standard mixes, a half one and so forth, until you're up here to 50, and then you start to quickly see it does not take much black before it's fully dark. So this is another study you can do. This only takes about 13 or 19 paint sticks to do, and you can find paint sticks down at your hardware store. I've had people write in and tell me they use tongue depressors, so you know it's pretty much anything you like. Now I did mention earlier that we had put together, I know this was very, very condensed statement of how to study color, but other than that I got to slow down and really talk about what is color mixing all about. And I had to put together a color mixing series. Now this is not an advertisement, I just want to let you know that if you're a member of our Lifetime Club, and here's the selecting colors for your palette. Here I'm talking about all the different things we did and how I came around with getting the 19 colors. But I think once you understand what's on this video, you will be able to select what kind of a palette you want, whether you want one with 19 colors, 100 colors, or 3 or 4 colors. Okay, the second DVD in the series goes through the art of color mixing, a lot of which we've just now talked about, and then we go into color theory simplified. And I know this is hard to take a look at it, but that took, and then we go into color design. What's a good, easy, reliable way that as I compose my own masterpieces, can I select color that people are going to like? And we give you some ideas, and then the rest of the series is different scenes that you can paint where I illustrate the color design in practice. Now, you can easily go down to your hardware store, and next time you buy paint, get a few extra of these paint sticks, start mixing color and experimenting with them. I would suggest that you paint over it with white gesso before you do that. One is to seal the paint. You can do this with acrylics, you can do this with oil, you can do it with water mixable oil. But always begin by putting white gesso, because the wood color will interfere, plus the wood pores will go ahead and soak up a lot of that paint that you're putting on there. And so what I do, just to show you, I go ahead and paint my stick, okay, with that white color, and then I mark it off for 10 or 11 different sections that I'm going to paint to do a study on. And so, Bill, I hope this helps you at least see the direction that you need to take in how you can go about starting to study color. I'm Darryl Crow, and this is Joe Kaczynski, and there's one thought we both want to leave you with. Yes, you can paint.